I'm excited to get these out of the prop box. Ooh, here I am. Here I am again. Once again. Not happy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back if you're returning. If you're new here, hi. My name is Leslie. I live in New York City, where I happen to grow 100 houseplants in my Manhattan apartment. I love the hobby so much. I've been growing for 5 years, but who are we kidding? The first 3 years was just collecting and killing plants. And now I'm like, okay, I'm learning. So today we're going to dive into 2 projects. One is going to be, well, it's not really a project. We're going to take a look back and see how things are doing that I potted up during my first chaotic video, which was 5 weekends ago, and see how they're doing, because some are doing amazing. One is not doing amazing. And then we're going to dive into this prop box, which is all Hoya, and I'm going to be taking some out and potting them up, plus a few plants in my collection that are small, and we're going to pot those up together. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing with my substrate, and we're just going to get into the shenanigans. So this might be one of those things where you sit back, you chill, you watch, or you chore along with me. And if you also join me because you found me doing the crafting with my planters, thank you for joining that video. That was a lot of fun for me, and I do plan to do more crafty things as we go. So not just with plants, by the way. Like last night I was junk journaling, and that was really fun. And it felt good to dive back in because my friends have been showering me with love, with a lot of amazing goodies for me to stay with my junk journal, because I do live with chronic illness and I'm always trying to find different, well, creative outlets while I'm pretty much housebound. Before we dive into what I potted up 5 weekends ago, I want to show you what we looked at during that crafty planty video, because something is popping off. Can you hear the sound? Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm going to link to that video. Okay, so in that video, we recreated the terrarium. Can you see what's happening? Guys, this is in full bloom. I'm shooketh. How many are on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blooms popping off at the same time. Now know that. I'm glad I was filming today, because these last for one day. By tonight, they'll just be, this does bloom frequently, but this is its prime season. Look what we did together. Look at that. Let's dive into a little update on how things are doing that we potted up during video 1. Again, it's a chaotic video. You don't have to watch it unless you want to. Okay, so as a reminder, if you didn't catch that video, but you might be learning over time already from being here, I'm all about plant aesthetics because I was a potter, and I'm gonna get back to pottery as soon as I feel well enough. It's gonna happen. It's been about 15 months. So this Hoya really is appreciating the up pot, but it wasn't supposed to be in that video. It just chaotically happened. So one thing I've learned about this Hoya is that it is a little bit more thirsty than I realized. So now that it's in this, and I've learned about its thirst habits, I'm watering a lot more. So it's growing a lot. It lives right above me. That's actually my favorite shelf. If I were to be like, okay, what's your favorite planty shelf in your home? That is the one. All right, moving on. I'm going to be as fast as I can. We need to get into the prop box. Zip, zip. Another unplanned up pot was this one, because I wanted to use this planter. This plant has never looked so good. It's hard to get these rich, dark leaves, which is why I bought it. These were the prop leaves. I noticed it just now. It has a little tiny growth point coming in. These leaves were emerging when we were doing the up pot, and they were tiny, and I was like, well, if I lose them, whatever. They're doing great. So this plant popping off, doing great, loving life. It went back to the spot it lives in. Let's go to a planned up pot, like the reason why the whole video started in the first place. This leaf was barely emerging just 4.5 weeks ago, barely there. And this is the reason why we up potted, because it was like in a short pot and banging. So, oh my God. This plant, I'm still treating it for flat mites, but we're kind of at the end of that treatment, but I kind of feel like I'm never gonna stop. Like, why not? Why not spray it down with soap and alcohol once a week and just stay ahead of any problems. I'm starting to do that. Oh, there's another leaf coming in right here. And this growth point is massive. And I love this pairing. And I love the spot it's in. Favorite. I'm leaving the diver for last. Okay. My Ganungading Ghost. So this leaf and this leaf had just emerged. I'm now starting to sun stress it. Like I just moved it to a stressy spot. So it's gonna turn pink. It already is turning a little bit pink, but look, we have baby leaves in the back and a nice runner happening. And there, it was like nothing happened. It's just happy. It's just happy. This was an unplanned up pot because I needed its pot because it was in this. I was like, I need you. So it's doing amazing because now it's living on one of my plant shelves in my bedroom, getting consistent light under a Scentsy puck light. And it's growing a lot. The little mini growth point it had is starting to really come in because this is a shrub and it should start branching off. And I'm gonna make sure it branches off. I'm laughing because I had a moment thinking, was that all we did? It's me mentally blocking out what's not doing so hot. It's one of my favorite plants. I will say, it already had a little struggle moment that I noticed, okay? It had this like damage on the leaves that I didn't understand. It was starting to yellow around the edges a little bit. Well, that's diving even harder. So we're getting quite yellow. The leaves are soft. I did look at the roots to see if this was rotting. We're not at that place yet. I reached out to a friend of mine who is a Ache collector. She was like, girl, they don't like inconsistency. So I asked a friend who is a grower what she thought this was on the leaf. And she felt it was like a cell collapse, likely an environmental change, temperature change. So basically she's a sensitive bee, okay? So I'm leaving it. I'm not gonna panic. It's gonna have 2 ugly leaves. Hopefully they'll calm down. If I notice that this is starting to dive, I'm gonna have to chop because I love this plant so much. Keep an eye on your plants. And if they're diving, take your insurance cutting and don't sweat it too hard. I'm gonna mix up some substrate. And who pots up in a white sweater? Well, I do because it's already stained.
Okay, I don't always use my potting mat and it's actually already driving me nuts. Let's make some quick substrate. Today is Hoya's, but generally I really do use a chunky Aroy type of mix. New batch of cocoa chips. Honestly, it's so much fun to make them because of this, the way they expand. It's fun for me. Okay, great. What I like about this one is that they're, the big pieces, the roots always get caught in them. And there aren't a ton of giant pieces in here. It's more the fiber. I don't measure exact. I can't tell you I do a third of that and a third of this. No, this gets stored in my kitchen underneath like my coffee area. And I just put a kitchen towel over it so that nothing gets in there and also so that it doesn't get mold. Like it gets a little aeration, otherwise it will get moldy, you know what I'm saying? Like a cheesecloth would be good. Ooh, I just spilled some on the floor. The apartment's currently clean. Now it's not. I do randomly have like some stuff left over in Ziploc bags. I mixed it up, so come on. Life on a budget. I see some cocoa, I see some pumice, I see some leca, so we're using it. And likely tree fern knowing me. These are epiphytes, which means they live off trees, rocks, you know, so make sure it's nothing too dense. Let those roots, oh, by the way, did I say I'm just a hobbyist? I'm not a professional. So don't do everything I do. But I will say it's okay to go by feel, and I will say that for Hoya, they should really be in a soilless mix. You don't want those roots drowning in something. You want them to be airy. You want to look up where they're from. You want to see how they live. So this is already nice and chunky and light. This is the pumice I like. It's not to say I don't use perlite. I do use perlite.
You might be someone watching this who's new to plants thinking, wait, I want exact measurements, like a recipe. You can totally look that up from other people. For real, I'm not even being sassy. When I first got into houseplants, I needed like literal answers. I needed literal mathematics. But also you can buy a mix. Tree fern fiber is fantastic, but it is expensive. So I do like to save it for some of my propagations. And there's already some leca in this. Well, this wasn't super exciting, but you can see, because I didn't do a full batch. I mixed in some that I already had made. I'm not letting this be super, super duper chunky. I think that's where I've gone wrong in the past. I'm not in a greenhouse. I'm not watering every day due to superheat. So whereas just cocoa husk and perlite works for others, it doesn't work for me. Also, what will work in your home is gonna be different from me. So for example, Sober Plant Guy, he grows just with cocoa and perlite. That's what he prefers. And he grows in terracotta. That's what he prefers. And he's gotten used to then the watering schedule based on the substrate and based on the pot. So if you're growing in plastic, for example, you might need a chunky mix as well. I'm growing most of my plants in ceramic. Especially today, everything will go into ceramic. So chunky is good. Most plants will be watered about once a week. And they're gonna be small, small. Looks good to me. I didn't make a mess yet, and the sweater has a stain. I think there's 2 stains. Join them. Let's dive into the prop box, and I want to tell you why things are propping, not just let's go into the prop box. As I open up, it's right behind me, and so is pottery, all by me, old pieces of mine that I luckily didn't sell. So this is broken, and I didn't need my prop box for a very long time because I just wasn't propping, and then I needed to prop. So it came back into my life. So it's in a very makeshift zone, as you can see, and I have 2 pieces of pottery underneath that were sake cups that I made, and I propped one of the shelves up that was inside of this, and they put one Sensi puck light in the middle, but it's so precariously there that it just falls. So then I put a plant on top of it to weigh it down. And someone was over cleaning. I'm like, hey, be careful over there. That is precarious. It will go flying. It might go flying during this. Anyway, that's the setup, and I have some African violets to help weigh it down as well. Oh my God, I kind of can't wait to not need the prop box again, but I do want to prop a few things, and I have a feeling something I'm gonna pot up today might need some propping. We're gonna start with just like aggressively in the front, isn't it? We're gonna start with the Wilbur Graves. This is a really nice specimen. Part of me is thinking about selling locally in New York one of these cuttings, but part of me wants a full pot. So I think I'm gonna go with the part of me that wants a full pot. This is coming out of the bottom. I believe these got propped in January. I usually put a date, but I think I forgot. Why did I forget? Well, because it was root mealy. This guy was infested, and I was really bummed to lose most of the plant. But what's fun about going through starting your collection over is I'm plant shopping right now. Look what I just got. A Wilbur Graves. It'll be a full plant. There's a few plants I'm really excited to bring back to my collection and find spots for them, and I have room on my plant shelf anticipating this moment. Let's talk about the sticks. I've learned from Callie of Callie's greenhouse that as soon as your plant has a growth point and it's a climber, or you want it to be climbing, this one can trail, put it on a stick. Give it the support it needs. So first of all, the leaves are going in the right direction. They're not hanging down, But also, the more support the plant gets, because it wants support, the more likely it is to grow stable, grow quickly. Now, she gives a stick with every time you purchase from her one of these chopsticks. I recently purchased some from her because using wooden ones, well, they're going to turn to mold. This was a bottom cut, so I really got a lot of alcohol around it. I had very short runway for propping this. Yeah, it was this one. So I was a little nervous, like, would root mealy come back? and I don't believe so. These two are propagated in tree fern fiber and perlite only. Not every plant was propped the same way. These roots are gonna be rude. One thing I will say about this prop box and to keep in mind, there's no aeration. There's no room to put a fan in there. I mean, you can if you want to try and drill some holes and seal it up. But due to that, you do need to open that prop box. I like to open it once a day for just a little bit, but it'd probably be fine for 2 to 3 days, but I wouldn't go longer than that. Things will get moldy. I can never get into a simple project. I didn't want to get things out of the box too soon because of the humidity. It is it's been 20% humidity in my home. They're not just coming out of the bottom, they're tangled around each other at the bottom. Oh my God, the timing of the root mealy infestation. You don't have to chop up your plants if you have root mealy. There are ways to treat, but they're not fail-safe. And you need to stay on top of it. And they're chemical based. And due to my chronic illness and living in an apartment, I decided it wasn't safe for me. Even though I purchased something to drench, I changed my mind and decided not to do it. Chopping away happened, and there was a plant that I didn't love that was having a problem. It went in the trash. Be aware, if your plants are sharing a tray and you're watering everything into a tray, and in particular, like you're in the Hoya world, the Hoya game, there's a root mealy issue that's been going on for well over a year now. So root mealies are everywhere. They're around the globe though. If you watch the most recent video posted by Miro, he talks about it and he's in Serbia, okay? I'm not gonna grab my scope for this one. I am grabbing my scope for a plant that's in my collection that I'm a little sus about. If you've been with me before for when I'm repotting, let's put this here. You know about the box. I like to use a box. Like this will become a mess, and like what if I do find a pest in something and then I could just change out the box. And then we're going to see which planter is the right size. Because this one was the one that was a very short runway to prop it with, I do actually want to take a look at the base just to make sure there's no like little root mealies hanging out that haven't gotten everywhere. So I might isolate this one for a while on a shelf by itself. It might not go to Gem Pop just yet. How are you? How's your week going? I like to smile when I say that, but I'm here to distract you. Planters, they're right here. Trying to guess, but I'm thinking this one. Because we have two. I'm gonna put a screen at the bottom to catch the substrate. And speaking of substrate, I like to see how often anyone on PlantTube can say the word substrate. Now, I've never done that bingo card, but it would be a fun thing to do. So if you ever want to play along and guess what things I'll say in a video, make a bingo card. Okay, let's see if that's enough at the bottom or too much. Anyone who gets the depth perfect every time is lying to you. Okay, well, I maybe got the depth perfect that time. I'm excited to get these out of the prop box because sadly I have more things to prop. Not in the mood for propping. I'm gonna give you a full tour of what's in the prop box. Well, life is cute. Just got a memory alert on my phone. It stopped recording and I heard the bloop and I'm like, what? Not everything in my prop box is there because there was a root mealy issue. Some of it is because I want to encourage new growth on Hoyas that I love, and I wasn't loving the way things were coming in as well. So I'm so excited to show you the ones that are propped. Where am I going? The ones that are propped to get new amazing growth because, oh my gosh, it's going so well. All right, one down. But chop your Hoya. Encourage that growth. Encourage it to be a bushier plant as well, depending on the type of Hoya it is. So I'm gonna take things out because things are precarious back there, but these are not getting potted up today. Okay, the Hoya caudata gold was completely chopped up due to root mealy. Another one. This plant, I think it's going to be this one, is going to be for a friend who's based in Arizona. We're doing a trade for a wish list plant that she's propagating for me, and she does sell. And I did get in here on March 18th. The date is there because there was a lot of mold on the substrate. I don't know why. So I took it out of what it was in. I even up-potted it slightly. There's a baby leaf emerging. I don't want to ship until the baby leaves on both are done. What I learned from getting in there is these are 2 cuttings. The roots were so entangled, which really bummed me out because I wanted to keep one of these cuttings for me to go into the other pot that's already out that I showed last weekend when we were crafting. But I think I'm gonna have to sell 2 cuttings together, hopefully locally. I'll put it right here, right where you can see it. There you go. Keep an eye on those kids for me, would you? Keep an eye. The Hoya love affair. I don't need any more of this. I was just assigned to propagate it to encourage new healthy growth, which is what I am getting. And this is a fast grower and it's going to Chicago. And it has 1, 2, 3 new leaves coming in. And I need to get this off to Chicago. It was a 2-leaf prop, that's all. This grew really fast. Healthy plant. There was no root mealy, no nothing. Let's talk about the strawberry matcha. UPT008, named strawberry matcha. These were propagated on January 12th. I recommend putting dates on your props. This plant is highly coveted for a reason. Highly coveted. Oh my God, the new leaves coming in. Dead, dying. And both have a growth point. Obviously, one is bigger than the other. This is for a friend. We're going to do a trade. Likely ceramics for this, although it's got nice ache, but I don't need more plants. This one I will likely sell locally as long as someone's willing to pay the true market value for this. I don't believe in undercutting the sellers. I think that's horrible. So the market value price is fairly up there. It's between $80 to $95 per node. Since this has 2 leaves, I will probably price it at about $85. So it's a beautiful plant. I'm just waiting for that growth point to really, really emerge. I would say nothing is going to happen with this plant today, but my goal was to get this up on a stick. I just hope there's room in that prop box for this to live on the lower level. I keep my clips all around the house. You never know. Right there is a node that looks like it wants to. Get rid of this. So this is the Verticulata Heart Leaf Silver. This one leaf came in very small and it was at the top. Mother plant is absolutely stunning. So this I will sell locally in New York on our Facebook group, which is called the NYC Plant Exchange. If you're in the New York City, 5 boroughs of New York, I highly recommend you join the group. There's about 23,000 members in our local plant group. Yes, indeed. This is, I believe, technically a verticulata. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I hope that's not fake news. Anyway, this, I'll put the name on screen because I always pronounce it wrong. This is 2 props. This did not have root mealy. I just wanted to chop the plant. It was not growing well for me. And it's funny, the mother plant is now growing, but this is even nicer than the mother plant. I am gonna sell this. This is all going back in the prop box. What is not gonna go back in the prop box? I feel like I'm going plant shopping. I get to bring one of my favorites back to my collection. This is NAP 16. It is fuzzy, it's fabulous. We have new growth and it did have root mealy. Welcome back, kid. And I think this is the right size to fit into one of my mini planters. Let me get the box. There's a mess in front of me. I don't know why I'm bothering. Like to finish before nighttime. It was shocking how many plants had root mealy, and they were living all over my home. I like to move my plants around my home often, not just for styling purposes, although that's usually why, but because the sun shifts around my home, because I have south-facing exposure, but it shifts for all of us from summer to winter. So you got to move your plants around based on the needs of the plant. Some were getting very high exposure to light suddenly or too low of light. So as much as I like to keep my plants kind of in their places, what happened was, I feel like my kids were all sleeping around, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, why would that have root mealy? That was never next to, oh wait, it was. And then that plant was next to that one. And then later on, that plant was next to that one. And next thing you know, I had root mealy in both rooms. Same thing happened with flat mites. So just be aware if you're a rearranger like me. Check to see who they're hanging out with. You can tell if there's root mealy though eventually by the behavior of the plant. So I have a plant that's behaving like it's either got root mealy or it's just that root bound. We're gonna find out because I'm gonna be looking at it today. It's also one of the plants I want to prop to encourage growth. I hope I'm not propping it because I'm chopping the whole thing up. The life cycle of root mealy is a long one, so you need to treat for a long time, which is why sometimes just chopping makes the most sense. Let's go shopping at the ceramics store now. It's not a big plant, which makes me happy because I get to use one of my miniature planters, which is what I would sell in plant shops in New York. I was hoping it would be this one. It could be this one. I like to let it trail. No, I like the other one. Okay, I'm gonna pot this up and I'll see you in a moment. Surprise, I had to pivot. The other one was too shallow. The Hoya species NAP 16 is a cross between the Memoria and the Rosita, and it does sun stress. It is so soft and fuzzy, which is why I wanted to get up close and personal. And due to sun stressing, I'm gonna figure out which spot I want it in because I would like to sun stress it this time around. Okay, so we have 3 plants to go, but you might only see one more in the prop box because I'll show you 2 that I want to get in there. One really needs an up pot today, and the other one is going to be our discovery, whether or not it has root mealy or it just needs a cut back and an up pot. So let's get into the last one. So sadly, and I had this plant for a very long time, root mealy. And I wasn't willing to let it go. So I tried some treatment, honestly. Like I was in touch with the original seller because we have a cute story behind this one. And it's just like a memory for me. So I tried. I'm not seeing any growth. And I feel like by now there should be some growth. I was torn about bringing this out of the prop box or not, letting it have some more time. This was not the bottom of the plant. I just think it's taken its sweet time. This one, oh, I didn't say this earlier. I'm so sorry. I did not say this earlier. If you're seeing a chunky mix in some of the props, it is not tree fern fiber with pumice and perlite, obviously. It is Newt Rescue Mix, and it's for propping. It's for dealing with rot. It is fantastic for propping. It could just get a little expensive, but I'm not propping up a whole greenhouse, so for me, no big deal. I've had a lot of success with the Newt Rescue Mix. As you can see, I'm checking to see what's in it. Strawberry matcha is in that, and so is the Kadada Gold. I have a tiny pot behind me, but that's for another plant. So part of me is thinking maybe this goes back into the prop box until the roots get bigger because it's not too small. Oh, I might have a pot for it. I may have a really cute pot for it. Oh, I have a few pots. Oh wait, I have pots. Leave it to the miniature planter lady to think that she doesn't have pots for that. I have pots. Yes, they're small. I'm thinking the blue because nothing yellow in my entire collection. So either this one, I love the drips on this one. But here's the thing about the yellow. Yellow is one of the prettiest colors with green foliage. Although it's a little bit too big for this, so no, there's nothing in there. Okay. This could wait, but it's not gonna. It's just the beginning growing season. I want to get things back into my collection. I do. It'll be fine. If it's not fine, it's fine. This is so little. Makes me smile. When I was making miniature planters, people were like, what's the point of those? I'm like, you don't have Hoya or succulents, do you? And then once I started to photograph and post my mini planters with plants in them to my social media is when the plant shop started purchasing them. So there's a point. There's a point to mini planters. These are my smallest though. Well, you're about to see the smallest planter probably ever made. I'm being very serious. I just want you to see the piece of pottery, the drips, and how small this plant is. But it's not the smallest. Let's grab the smallest plant. Here is the smallest planter. It even, yes, has a saucer. So I'll explain. It might not be a surprise to anyone that I'm a stubborn potter, meaning, like in a funny way. If you don't know what it means to throw off the hump or off the mound, here's some footage of that. So as the mound gets smaller and smaller, you are throwing pieces right off the hump, piece after piece. You're not wedging clay separately. This is gonna be a pain to get out of here, I feel like, possibly. You get to the bottom, and then there's like tiny little amount of clay left. And most potters would just scrape off that little bit of clay and reclaim it. But I was like, let me see what I can make with the little bit left. So I made this planter with the little bit left, and I managed to trim it with a little foot and with a drainage hole, and like went all in on it. And then people are like, what are you putting in that? I'm like, I have no idea. So what happened with this plant is I rotted it. I mean, rotted it. All the leaves turned mushy brown. I still don't know what happened, but there was this little bit that was okay. So I propagated it. I saved it. It's growing like crazy now, and it is time for it to come out of this planter. So I have the next size up. When you're using tiny pots, not even tiny, like small to medium, the plant needs water more often. Okay, we're good, we're out. I don't know what's going in this next. It's always a surprise. So here it is. I literally have the next size up. Stubborn potter. Listen, if I end up making nothing with the little bit of clay that's left, I'm okay with that. It's just an experiment. Next size up. So yes, I did it more than once. And I even took time to carve it. And yes, I have a saucer for it. In the past, I've used my mini planters for taking little pups off of cacti and succulents. So that's an example of what I'd used them for, but honestly, a miniature orchid would be amazing in this. So now I'm kind of obsessing with that thought, and then having it live in a terrarium under a cloche or something. Okay, I'm gonna pot this up and I'll be right back. Okay, there it is, the little taco, the mini Yeti eye. And here's the saucer. Yes, I managed to trim and get my maker's mark on these and carve them, but I'm just thrilled to have this one back and okay. Before we dive into this next plant, which is the one that might have root mealy, and I will be taking a look under the microscope if I need to, or just needs an up pot and needs a little chop chop. But before we do that, I want to just show you quickly my Hoya Lai Chow. It was living in the prop box for a while, and it was just this one node, and it's doing great. So prop box for the win this year. I'm just very happy with it. This is a great prop box. Well, you just saw its green form sibling. This was a wish list plant. It was growing great for me until it no longer is growing great. And there's a peduncle right there that has now blasted 5 times, which leaves me thinking there's a problem. There's something wrong. Now, it's in a tiny pot. It deserved it. Oh, there's another peduncle, right? It just will not do anything. So it might just be super root bound or a little hydrophobic almost. So, oh my God, that word came out of my face so weird, hydrophobic. So, and that's when the substrate no longer is drinking up the water. This does feel like it's in the soils mix. Let's see. I really hope it's not root mealy. I think regardless, I'm going to propagate this plant a little bit to encourage growth. Also, can't hurt to have a expensive plant sitting in my prop box. Ooh. Ooh. Did you see me jump? Is that root mealy? Oh my, I just jumped. Like jumped. Holy moly. Sorry, my face. I may come up close to camera. Oh my God. I'm not happy right now. If it's root mealy, it's been living on a shelf in my bedroom with my collection for a very long time. This don't look good. Okay, this is me trying to soldier on. I don't mean to be dramatic, but like the fact that I'm taking things out of my prop box that I've worked months to recover on, and the fact that there is a problem is really upsetting. But I do feel that something that is not often shown is how to work these microscopes, because as you saw, it's clear that there were nests. It's clear that there were problems. You don't really have to dive that far in, but I'm going to show you how I use this microscope. I don't have a secondary device, so you're going to see the inserts of the footage. When you get a microscope like this, it's hard to focus it, and I recommend you get it in focus, but then from there, you slide it back and forth. I usually have my phone just sitting on this so I can look at it, and I slide back and forth. Let me cut to the chase. I'm going to show you the footage. This is the worst infestation I've ever seen in a plant in my home, next to maybe the Caudata gold. Now, because I know I'm going to be chopping the hell out of this plant, I just tear into the roots, because on the surface level I sort of could see them, but I figured, hey YouTube, let me show you what really root mealy looks like. And they were actually fat F's, and they're sort of plump and happy and moving quickly. But again, I will focus it, and then to really get that focus, I'm just moving it in and out, because if you're playing with this to focus it, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Then hold, let it roll for 1 full minute. I do the same thing for flat mites, because in particular flat mites are so slow. Now they're red, right away you'll know, but if you need that confirmation, if you're dealing with broad mites and they're white, let it roll for 1 minute. And when you're looking back in your camera roll, zoom ahead and you will see things moving that you didn't notice before, especially if they're slow as foe. So this is a horrendous infestation. I am concerned about everything that is living on that shelf, and I have to think, did I move it between both shelves? And I think I just did. So it was on the upper deck and the lower deck. So I'm gonna have to investigate. I don't wanna go through this again, but I might be going through this again and chopping. I've had friends have success with talc dunks. Talc is a nerve agent, I believe, and you need to be really careful with it, so wear full gear. But for me, I can't have chemicals like that in my home. So I'll be chopping and propping. And so I really want to go eat dinner. And I think that's what I'm going to do, is make myself some food. And I'm trying to decide if this is going to be a separate video. But I'm going to be doing it tonight, so I will take you through it. Let me just dive into what the chop will look like. But I hope this was really educational. But this is a Debbie Downer moment, and this is what it means to have pests. So, and I hate that I did it right here on the mat, because now I really need to disinfect this mat, which you should always do, and I always do, but like really disinfect it, which is a whole bunch of work. And if I did it in the box, I would just be throwing the box away. Darn it. Now you know why I use a box. Be careful when you have pests, guys. Like, separate things, wash your hands with alcohol, the whole nine. This is already contaminated, so normally I would put down, listen, hate to say it, the trellis, which my wonderful friend Kristen made, that I cut down to be short. I'm going to throw it away, because That's so disappointing. Okay, I'm gonna just be chopping, and I wanna chop pretty far up because I wanna get away from the situation, because for all I know, some slippery little MFer made its way up and laid eggs. So we're gonna, you don't usually need to go this high up. I'm not willing to risk it. I'm throwing all of that away. I am so upset, if you couldn't tell. This will get disinfected in scalding hot, like boiling hot water. I'm gonna get rid of the clip as well. So that was bad, but I guess you need to see bad to learn. So there, you saw bad. I can't believe I need to take a look at those shelves. Oh, hi. Yep, hi. Me working on an attitude check. I am pissed, but I had dinner. Sun is down, it's nighttime. Not what I want to be doing right now. Anyway, root mealies. So you might be saying to yourself, how'd that happen? Because I literally checked every single plant in my collection under the microscope. Sure did, when this all started happening in December. It's now March. Well, the life cycle. Depending on the species, because there's a root mealy, there's hundreds and hundreds of different types of root mealy. Could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months for an egg to hatch. Let's just ballpark it, 3 to 6. You heard that right. So here we are. I'm gonna have to check most of my collection all over again, and that doesn't mean that it's in the clear. And because, as mentioned at the top, I cannot really pre-treat with some of the stuff that's out there that people use. Now, there are a whole bunch of different things that people do to treat root mealy, and they find them effective. So do your research, ask around, see what other people are doing. People are doing everything from the hot water dunks. The water has to be a certain temperature, to talic, which is a nerve agent dunk. I think, is it SMS 209? I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't think that people are finding much success. Pure Crop 1, I have to say, or Pure Crop, I have to say, I mean, people love it, but I've been hearing not such great stuff. Leaf damage, ultimate plant damage, so I wouldn't recommend from everything that I've seen. But anyway, here I am again. Once again, not happy. Okay, I'm going to, given the life cycle, given the possibility of there being eggs, I am going to clean this with alcohol and a little bit of, you could do just straight up alcohol. I do have a little bit of water in here and a little bit of Castile soap. And that's what I treat my flat mites with, so might as well go ahead and soap her up a little bit. And then I'm gonna chop her up and start over again. Oh my God, the alcohol. So I mixed up some of my tree fiber mix. I can't believe I just cleared out the top row, and now we have things going into the top row again. And I am quite concerned, feeling actually quite certain that some of my other plants have root mealy, and I'm gonna check them tonight, and we'll let you guys know next weekend. And if there's more in there, you will know. Yeah, so let's get cutting, let's get propping. Not what I thought was gonna happen in this video. I really thought this video was just gonna be, look what survived and made it through root mealy. Not that, and we have them again and still, which by the way, is great for you to see. If this is scaring you from being in the hobby, let me tell you something. A lot of people do quit. A lot of people do get burnout and then they come back. Because honestly, if you're taking care of anything living, you got a fish tank, you got a garden outside, you have children, you have pets, you're gonna deal with viruses and bugs and all the things. And If you are choosing to be involved with a hobby of a living organism of any kind, lizards, whatever it is you can think of that lives, this is a part of it. And it's not going to be for everyone. And when I got into the hobby, I did not know that pests were a thing. Feeling quite certain that of at least 2 other plants that have this. So, but please don't let this scare you from the hobby too much. And now you know why, to always clean your shears. You don't want to spread anything. That includes viruses. Someone just said to me in my comments section that my SS011 that I asked for any advice on, that I showed at the beginning of this video that's not doing well, someone finally chimed in that they think it's fungal. I'm like, oh, great. Haven't dealt with a fungal issue yet in my collection. It's 5 years in, so I'm not sure what to do with that information. So I'm going to ask some other people. But if you're watching this, thank you for the comment, and thank you for giving me some thoughts there. And please let me know if you have any advice. Okay, I'm trying to decide. Well, first of all, I'm going to have to cut this even further down so that I have a node to work with. Oh, and there's a dunk right there. I'm trying to decide if I'm keeping all this plant for me or should I prop up one node for sale. And I think I should prop up a node or 2 for sale. Mama needs some money. Mama's got medical bills. I hate this. There's a dunk right there. I don't want to lose the dunk. Yeah, okay. I do grow all of my plants in a chunky mix. I don't grow in semi-hydro, in case you haven't noticed. I think I just said that because I'm thinking of Kevin, great channel, and how he propagates, and he can chop things so fearlessly, like it's unbelievable. By the way, this is a long day for me now, so I'm going to start fumbling words. Brain fog is starting to happen. I just got to get through this. I did not anticipate this being my day. As much as I didn't anticipate this being my day, I did say, we're going to take a look at this plant. There might be a problem, and it could be root mealy. I chose to bravely dive in, and I'm tired. I'm tired. Great. Excellent. Isn't this so great? This is great. How long before I get a bad attitude? I want to have some length to this. I don't want to start it all over. I got it as a 2-leafer. 2-leafer. We're just doing 2 pots of this. And I'm a little frustrated with myself. I have to say, about 2 months ago, I was looking at this going, why do you keep blasting? And like, I gotta get better at like, that keeps blasting, something's wrong. And I don't seem to do that. I think I'm in denial. I will be making sure this substrate stays wet. And we get them really going. I have to say, this is a slow growing plant, but it was not slow growing for me when it got here. Currently battling, again, root mealy and flat mite at the same time. And I did let go of a good amount of plants due to flat mites and root mealy this year, but it helps me, you know, it helps you think about like, do I really like this plant? No, downsize. So my collection in Hoya land, plant collecting doesn't need to be expensive. I just want to say you can trade. You can love plants that are more common, that are really readily available, and love them just as much. You're seeing some bougie plants in front of your eyeballs right now. I acknowledge that. And it was during a time where I could afford it and was treating myself. And my circumstances have very much changed in 1 year. So that's one of the reasons why it's also so important to me to save these plants, because I can't afford to buy plants. I also just want to become a better grower and put my focus and energy into being a better grower. It's not about collecting. It's not, the hobby isn't the collecting part, although there's nothing wrong with the collecting part. It's really fun. The hobby is about taking care of them and what you're watching. I really do mean that. Like, you saw how excited I was to bring things out of the prop box and put them in my collection again, and how fun it is to be like, I won. So it'll be fun again. There is something very, very rewarding about propping a plant well, hang on, let me put the date on these, propping a plant well and either selling it, trading it, or putting it back in your collection is really rewarding. Today, it's March 25th. I'm tired. I just wrote 3/25/62. It's 26. This will be mine. Did I keep all the junks for me? Okay. These are for my medical bills. It's not going to cover that much. Look how tiny they are. This is what my plan started as. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's so dramatic. I'm trying to remember what I paid for this. 60? Maybe $60 for that? We're almost done. Let's wrap this one up with something pretty and positive and okay, great. Great. Well, that became an adventure. Oh my God, what just happened? What is my life? Okay, I was like, let's look back at plants and let me show you how they're doing. And then it was like, let's open the prop box and show you how I dealt with root mealy. Isn't that great? And I have one that I'm a little suspect of, and now it's like, oh, crisis. Crisis all over again. So what am I gonna do first of all? First of all, we're gonna remember that's not that big of a deal. And eventually in a few months, I get to go plant shopping in my own prop box. So that happened. And I still have pretty things. I'm gonna check this one for root mealy. Again. Anyway, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take some bleach, it's on the floor, to my shelves. I'm gonna get the wires all around. You wanna clean things really thoroughly. So I'm going to do that first. Nothing goes back on that shelf tonight until that's cleaned. I don't have the energy. I'm gonna find the energy. Nothing has to go into the shelf tonight. It could all sit out here. It'll be fine. Second of all, I wanna celebrate the fact that I am beating the flat mites in my home and not lose sight of that, because a year ago I wasn't as good at it, and I used horticultural oil and I damaged a lot of leaves, and now I'm not using that, and it's going great. So this latifolia looks amazing. This new leaf is gonna keep sizing up. I chopped the heck out of this the other day, and I'm treating it every 2 weeks, and I will be for a few more months, because I'm gonna stay on top of that. Because in any hobby, we should be learning all the time. And every hobby should come with its challenges. But man, if I knew about pests, I don't know that I would have gotten into this hobby, but I stayed. So let me know if you knew about pests before getting into the hobby and still jumped in, you're brave. So when you got into the hobby, if you had known about pests, would you have gotten into this hobby? The same thing goes for fish, reptiles, cats, dogs, outdoor gardening, anything that's alive. Before anyone goes judging us for our plant hobby, anything that's living, anything, comes with a bit of a balance is needed. Next weekend I'll report back if I found more root mealy. I'm assuming I'm going to. Next weekend I don't know what the video will be other than pure and utter joy and fun. Okay, until then, bye.